Hi, this is Matt Hugg with ThinkNP, and we're ready for our 5 tips in 10 minutes. And I have with me today Sheldon Wolf of the Advancement Company, LLC. Sheldon, welcome, and
thank you.
Let's get to it. So what's your tip number 1?
Okay, five tips in 10 minutes. So first tip has to do with learning about people. So development is a people business.
For sure.
So the more that we can learn about people, the better.
Okay.
So study psychology. I recommend studying acting. Learn about how people move, how they talk, how they reveal what they're really thinking, which isn't always their words.
Right.
Might be other things. That
body language.
Body language is so key.
Yeah.
Facial expressions.
Yeah. Intonation, I imagine.
Intonation, all those other other elements that are not about the words. And part of that psychology, and I begin a lot of talks this way, is to figure out what motivates people to give. And I usually start off when I've done lectures is what motivates somebody to dig into their pocket and take out $1 and give it to you. And there's a long list of reasons, and only one of those reasons is that they actually feel for what you're talking about.
And I guess the same kind of parallel for consulting. What motivates people to engage a consultant?
Well, I think the same way.
Yeah.
And they're different. You know, so in an organization, there are some people who are giving because they buy into the mission. There are some people who are giving because you give the best parties in town.
Right.
Or they want to connect with someone who's on your board. Or there's a powerful business connection to be made. Or who knows what. You know, there's a long list of people. So the more we can understand about what's behind people and why they're involved, why they're doing what they're doing, I think the more effective we are. So that we're not talking to everybody in the same way, because they're not the same
and they're not hearing that in the same way.
Not the same people.
Yeah. So what's number 2?
Number two is to read. So I'm a voracious reader.
Yeah.
So one of the books that I recommend is a book called The Trusted Advisor.
Okay.
I wish I could read my note on the
I'm sure
author.
Folks will find it.
David,
Don't worry about it.
I think the last name is Maister, M-A-I-S-T-E-R, and others.
Right.
And it's a book that's partly about business management, partly about consulting, partly about other things, about how to be more than just the person who was brought in to write the next letter or to solve this particular problem, but how to build a relationship with the CEO of the organization, or with the organization itself. So that they think of you as someone to turn to for other issues other than what's in your contract.
Yeah, what they just brought you in for. You know, you're the writer, and now look, you're so much more.
Right. So you're the thinker. You're the person who could help on a variety of issues. And sometimes, you know, I think being the CEO of any organization is a lonely job. So who do they turn to when they just need to blow off some steam or test an idea that might be sensitive for even their highest level staff members? You know, you can be that person who they turn to.
Well, that's great.
So I love.
And they'll come back to you time and time again after that.
I think that's a good role for people to play. That book has been very influential.
So what's number 3 then?
Number 3 is to be mindful of scale. So a lot of the books that I've read about development work or membership work or marketing work are geared to organizations that have very large capacity. You know, if you have a staff if you're a university and you have 42 major gift officers on your staff,
which I could name 2 or 3 here.
They're able to do that. So they're able to focus in on people and deal with people in a certain way. If you're the scrappy upstart Kensington Art Gallery with a staff of 1.5 people, so what do you do then? And I think it's our responsibility as consultants of being mindful of who we're talking to. And very often I hear, or they start off, the organizations start off with having read some things about solving their problem that's way out of scale with who they are and how they could possibly address the issue. So how do we bring it to their level?
That's interesting.
And then what's the next step? then what's the next step for
Right.
them? At a major university, the next step may be a 43rd major gift officer.
Right.
At another organization, the next step might be take a half hour each week and talk to somebody who's important to your organization.
Right.
Those are
Right.
very different universes.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's not one answer to everybody.
So number 4 then. We're on a
Number
good roll
4,
here.
and I think all this is related,
Yeah.
is give more than you're asked to do.
Okay, value.
Yeah, so I don't provide more value.
Right.
So I don't really care what's in my contract. You know, are there other areas where I can be helpful?
Yeah.
And sometimes being helpful is just commenting on.
Right.
You know, have you ever thought about moving this over?
Yeah.
I think, based on being in 100 other organizations, I see that people are able to do it this way.
And I bet you're not charging for, doing that. You're just providing, being a resource that can do more for them.
Yeah. So use your experience and how much of that. Now there's a point,
Well, yeah.
Can you write that down and present that on a 2-hour workshop to our board? Sure.
Right.
But then there's a cost involved in doing that.
Yeah.
But having this little conversation based on our observation or sending an email of, I thought this might be done a different way, or...
Well, and you're in a position as a consultant where you're seeing a lot of what's going on, not just a narrow focus, and so you can give that different perspective.
And maybe, one of the advantages of being a development consultant is you really do get involved with every aspect of the organization.
Sure.
I'm not sure, if someone coming in as a bookkeeping consultant has the same broad view.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to write about the organization, I want to know what's happening, in all the nooks and crannies.
Sure.
And then I'm seeing things that maybe I have a piece of advice.
Well, and
that can be helpful.
For fundraising in particular, that all those little things makes a difference to somebody making a gift or not.
Absolutely.
So it really is your business.
Absolutely. So how are people being served? Or what's the look of the place? All those questions are really key.
Yeah.
And my final piece.
What's the end here? This is good.
so the end one is to show up, and that doesn't mean show up to do your work,
right?
But to show up with interest to observe the work of the organization.
Yeah.
So. Again, I work a lot in the cultural world. It's relatively easy to show up at a performance, or to show up at an art opening, or to show up at a science museum opening, or to go to a lecture. Maybe a little bit harder in a medical situation. So no, I'm not just going to show up in the emergency
in the
room.
operating suite.
No, probably not. But I can show up in the waiting room. I'm probably waiting in the waiting room before some of my meetings. So what do I observe there? What do I observe when I've done this too, and I've been a patient, and the room that I'm waiting in is not as clean as it could be.
Right.
So be present, and be consciously present, looking at the organization and finding opportunities when you can observe them at work.
Yeah.
And then bring that back to them. And I do that even years later.
Oh, interesting.
So, I'm still visiting some of the art museums that I worked with years ago. And after I do, I can write a note saying, great exhibition, really love this. Whoever did the labels, perfect.
And how many times are they going to get a note about somebody doing the labels?
3, but there's somebody on the other end of that work.
Yeah.
Or I was just observing people in the gallery, and here's what I saw.
Yeah.
People, everybody seemed to walk by that grouping of 3 paintings. Maybe if you did X, you can slow them down so that they see. They see whatever the observation. But how am I going to do that? So that's my continuous networking with the organization, and it's my continuous providing additional value to them.
Right.
Of course, ultimately, I want some more work.
Well, yeah.
But I'm interested anyway.
But you've shown that value up front before they even sign.
So I don't have to prove it after.
Right.
They have a good sense of who I am. So those are my 5.
Well, that's cool. This is great, Sheldon. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well, this has been 5 tips in 10 minutes with Think NP, featuring today Sheldon Wolf of the Advancement Company LLC. And Sheldon, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what do they do?
What do? They can call me.
Okay.
215-836-8484.
Okay.
I have a website.
Yes.
That is advancementco.com.
Okay, good.
And they could reach me by email, swolf@advancementco.com.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sheldon.
Thank you, Matt.